or a large chunk of it, which is under threat in some ways. Why is austerity a bad thing? There are people in this country who would like to see us cut back on government. What happens?
Well, it's a very simple notion. You know, we all need to tighten our belts to make sure that we're back into fiscal shape. But there's two problems. The first one is I'm absolutely in favour of everyone tightening their belts the minute we're all wearing the same pants. And that's manifestly not the case. In fact, it's more unlike the case than it's been in almost 100 years. So when you cut government spending, who feels the effects? Well, it's those of people who rely upon transfers directly or government services such as public schools, etc. So essentially what you're doing, particularly, remember, after a financial crisis, kind of like we had in 2008 when we bailed out the assets and incomes of everyone who has assets and incomes. Well, when you do that, you're turning private debt into public debt, and then you freak out about the public debt and then start cutting school budgets. But the school teachers weren't the ones that caused the crisis, were they? So there's a real asymmetry in the way that this gets put. Second one is this. You can't all save at once. It's just impossible. For someone to save, there has to be someone else generating an income from which to save. Otherwise, all you're doing is shrinking the economy. So if you're in a moment of crisis and recession, and the public sector is shrinking at the same time as the private sector, then the overall economy shrinks. Now, if you want a crystal clear case of this, try Greece. Because there they went for austerity on steroids to restore confidence. Well, they lost 30% of consumption in the economy, nearly 30% of GDP, 20% cut in consumptive spending in the economy. The place is a disaster. So there's no real reason to do this other than the fact that you want someone else to pay for your mistakes, which is really what it's all about.